Hello and welcome to Running Tales Special Edition. You got me back. Yes, it's been a couple of years break, but my name is Michelle. I am the wife of Craig Lewis, who you regularly hear for the past few years. And I thought it's about time you had a bit of a break and heard my lovely voice again. So I'm going to watch the YouTube version and wonder why am I wearing a bobble hat. I've just come back from a Northampton shoe factory tour and yeah, didn't want you to see the hat here. So the hat is staying on and I'm all for the big bobble hat. And now let's get on with the running tales. You've had heard enough about me. So today I have got a really good friend joining us who was a runner and has been up until very, very recently. And due to her health condition, has suddenly made the choice to become a wheelchair racer. Now, enough about me. Let's get find out more about Lottie. Over to you, Lottie. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm okay. I'm good, thank you.
Yes. So, great start. Just to warn you, listeners, you've got two 50-year-olds, menopausal, most probably have brain fog on this podcast, most probably lost for words, go blank. Hey, women of our age going through the same thing. You understand. Lottie, thank you so much for coming back on, coming on Running Tales and taking the time out and sharing your story. Now, the reason why I wanted you to be the first one, because I feel your story, like all, but this one, it has a bit of a cruel tale. You were a runner, and now you're having to make this difficult decision to turn into a wheelchair racer. Firstly, can you tell me, what is going through your thoughts right now? Because it is right now that you are making this decision to become a wheelchair racer.
I'm not going to lie, it's hard. It is really, really hard, and I've been in some very, very dark places. I've gone from a marathon runner to barely being able to walk 50 steps without having to rest, being in excruciating pain. So it's hard. I'm not going to lie, it's very, very hard.
Well, now what's on our listeners' thoughts is if you can just tell us what is the health condition that is changing your life.
So I have fibromyalgia. So running's a really big part of my feeling good for that because movement really, really helps with fibro. Um, it keeps your joints from seizing up and all the rest of it. I have a lower back injury. I did at work a good couple of years back. And so I had some procedures to try and help with the pain in my lower back. And unfortunately, they haven't worked. So now going from running the big half in London beginning of September to now, if I go out, I have to use my chair.
And September is this year,
Yeah,
2025, and now we're in near the end of October. This is real close,
yeah,
vision.
yeah. It's been on my mind for quite some time. I knew that wheelchair racing was going to become a thing, and I always said my thing to everyone was, I am going to run for as long as I can. And so I did, and I'm really proud of myself for doing that. I did the London Marathon, I did the big half, I've done Great Eastern. I've got a nice collection of medals on my wall.
But you said it was through an injury through work, but have you
Yeah.
got a diagnosis of what your actual condition is?
No, there's quite a few.
Okay.
So basically, my spine is falling apart, to put it very mildly. There is osteoarthritis. I have bulging discs. My SI joint is the sacroiliac joint is the main source of my walking problems. It's causing sort of numbness down the legs um, and in my lower back. Um, so yeah, my spine's just basically falling apart.
Do you mind sharing? Can we go back to the beginning about your running journey so we can find out a bit
Yeah.
more about you and then we'll touch back on this later on? I hope you don't mind, listeners, because I don't know myself, so I'm very keen, Lottie, to know about you. So, and this is what I feel as well. Why I want to know, because it must be extra painful for you because you was a runner at school. You enjoyed it. So, can we go back to that stage of your life?
Yes.
And move forward from there.
I realized I had a real passion for running when I was like 13. And we had cross country competition. I went to a school that sports were really, really big. We had teams for just about everything. So I discovered running distance. And then when I was 14, yeah, I was 14 the first time I did the London Junior Marathon, which happens on the Saturday before the main marathon. Yeah, so I did that 2 years in a row.
Okay.
So that's a 5K run. And I think my PB on that was about 27 something. So yeah, that was when I was 15. So the first year I did it, I started um, near the front of my pack, like 130 something. And then the next year I was right at the back of the pack and came 81st out of all the London boroughs.
Wow.
So there were 16 team members on each team. And I don't even know how many London boroughs there are, but there were a lot of people. And I came 81st.
So you was 13, 14 here doing this. Was it the school that identified you, or was it yourself, your family? Who recognised you?
I always had support from my mum. Mum was always my biggest cheerleader. But yeah, it was just an opportunity that I had at school. I was really lucky that we did have, we had house competitions for cross country, for athletics, hockey, football, absolutely everything. You name it. If there was a sport, we'd just have a competition for it because why not? So yeah, I got on the teams for that. I was head of the athletics team. Um, cross country team. I was horribly obnoxious and arrogant because I never trained. Like I just go out and run, and I'd get bored halfway through a race and overtake everyone and come in first. I had a literal tub like this filled with medals, mostly golds, a couple of silvers, the odd bronze here and there. But yeah, it was.
You're one of those naturals.
I was
Yeah.
very, very fortunate. And then I decided I wanted to be an artist, and aesthetics just fell to the side. I never carried on with it.
Not so. I've met you through Park Run and
Yep.
mutual friends who I met through Park Run. So we've only known each other a few years. Was you running up until Park Run?
No.
So you did not run from school, you had this massive gap.
Huge gap.
Like I said at the beginning, you're 50 like me, reached the half century, didn't we, together? There's only 1 day difference between us, by the way, folks. And so you've gone from school to suddenly in your late 40s taking up running again, Park Run, I take it, yes?
Yeah. So it started out probably 10, 15 years ago. I challenged staff to I think it was just a really simple like 3K run, a fun run in Abington Park. And I was like, yeah, we'll do this. And Stav did the race. I never did. I kind of gave up with the practicing and all the rest of it. Never turned up for the race. And Stav, as we know, carried on and is now this wonderful athlete. Um, and I just didn't. And then a couple of years back, life took a very big change for me. And so I decided, do you know what? I need to do something for me. So I went back to running.
And Park Run,
And Park Run was
Northampton
the
Park
start.
Run.
Yep,
Yeah,
that was the
Northampton.
start of it.
Be honest, it was the fancy dress, you knew it when we do fancy
Every time.
dress.
Always fancy dress.
And so you did the park run relit that passion again. You started doing these major races. You got in the London Marathon, you said you've done the London Half. And what other races have you done?
So I've done Stratford 10K, Leicester 10K, um, Great Eastern. Crikey.
So what's your favourite distance as an adult?
Half.
The
Absolutely
half.
loved the half marathon. That
What was it
was,
about half marathon?
no, I think it was just that kind of, you're pushing yourself that little bit further than you normally would. I like the 10K, it's a comfortable run, but the half was more of a challenge.
Yeah.
So, there's 10K comfy, but double that distance, and there's more of a challenge, more of a push. So it was always the half.
And I love the fact that you've always tried to raise money for charities as well. So you're not just someone that runs for your own mental health and your own being, you raise money as well. Um, then recently, has it been 2025 where the spine has said, hello there, enough's enough?
Yeah,
Well,
and this year,
2025, explain 2025 to us.
um, mixed bag. So I've done my 50th park run, which took far longer than it should have.
But be realistic because you might have listeners out there that, similar condition or another condition that does affect them. Um, Give people an idea what your times have been in 2025 park run
Oh, good
for a
question.
5K.
So 5K, my times have varied a lot, which I've had to accept is part of my conditions. So I've done very low 30 minute, 30, 32, all the way up to 45, 50.
Yeah, and where I'm getting at here is that, because your conditions got worse, even I know you'll turn up and go, today I'm walking,
Yeah,
today I'm marshalling, right, today I'll have a little jog. So mentally, your back has been challenging you,
oh,
even
yeah,
that's something you should be enjoying, helping you mentally release, but also has been a
yeah,
challenge physically to get
yeah.
round.
It has. It's been painful both physically and mentally. It's
So
just
what's got you round on those park runs when you've had to walk?
stubborn.
Stubbornness.
Purely just being really stubborn. There have been a couple I've started and not finished. Um,
And how did that make you feel afterwards?
Absolutely awful. I felt like I'd let myself down. Even though it's just park around, it's something you turn up. It's voluntary. You go and you do what you can. There's no pressure on any of it, but it was a pressure I gave to myself
Mm.
to, you know, finish this 5K. And be honest, 5K is not a little distance. These people that do park run every week, it's not a small challenge. It's quite a distance, really.
Yeah, something I want to, as you know, I'm a big park run fan and I go regularly and all that. But what I'm trying to get here, and especially in your case when you was walking, I know what's going on with you and so do your friends, but other park runners, I'm sure you have people out of care. Come on, you can do this.
Oh
Go
yeah.
on, jog. But your body is saying, no, you are not jogging. You
Mm.
are walking, stepping rounds. How do you find out that the fact that, we're still as a nation not taking in invisible disabilities?
Yeah, the sunflower lanyard scheme has worked quite well with a lot of that, but still, there's not that much awareness of it. So obviously, if you have an invisible disability, you can wear a sunflower lanyard or a bracelet or something that's visible, which is great, but not everyone knows what that is. So a lot of the time, you are doing your absolute best at a park.
That's fantastic. That was a light falling. So it can only happen to us on a podcast, but carry on, ignore the note.
Yeah, so it's really difficult because everyone is doing their best to help you, to egg you on, to get you to finish this 5K. Um, and you have to be really polite I'll quite often say, oh, I'm walk running. I'm in a walking part and to be quite honest, that is what I'm doing. Quite often I'll Jeff. I'll, set myself times where I'm walking and where I'm running. And they don't always stay the same throughout the run. Like I might start with, I don't know, 5 minute run, 2 minute walk, but I'll finish with a 3 minute walk, 2 minute run. Um, so it is, you just kind of, you have to remember that everyone else is just doing their best to egg you on to the finish.
And like we say, short space of time. It's only very, very early, and I mean very early days of you making this decision to give up running completely to turn to wheelchair racing. Yesterday we had the Halloween park run, and I love the fact that you did turn up in your electric chair and you still had your broomstick because you still wanted to be part of the community.
I'd pinch that off of someone else.
But you, for me, though, and to help, the listeners as well understand, what gave you that mental, like, power? And it is power to get out of bed and say, okay, I'm not running. I still want to be part of Park Run. I'm going to marshal. I'm going to do my bit, fancy dress. I still want to be part of that community. What gave you that boost to still be
It
part of the Park Run world?
is the people. It really is. I can sit at home and I mean, I've had my dark days. I've had my days where I'm just crying because it is so hard to go from that runner to completely stationary and sedentary life. Um, but it is the people who have got me through so much of it. And I've got friends who are there. And, it's, I can stay home and I can sulk and I can cry and I can feel, really sorry for myself. But that is not going to help the situation. That is not going to get me moving. It's not going to get me out of the house. And it's certainly not going to give me that willpower, that want to carry on and move into wheelchair racing.
Yeah, so and the reason why I'm going on this, because I'm sure there's other people, and myself, I'm very much about encouraging wheelchair racers at the Northampton Park Run, and just generally, because I work with a few people in wheelchairs that Um, we were texting on Friday, and you were like not sure if you was going to come. Was it the point when I text back to you to say Alan and Carol are likely to be there in their wheelchairs that made you come to Park Run yesterday? Or was it, you're around those that can run and are enabled?
Yeah, it's a 50-50. It was knowing that there are other people that are going to be there. It was good sitting down with Dad and having a really good chat as well afterwards when we
I
had
was going to
coffee.
touch on that. I was going to touch on that. So for the listeners, Alan was one of the wheelchair racers that did come. Carol was actually racing today, so she had a break yesterday from Park Run. It was interesting. Alan, and Lottie was on the table I was on, and listening to them talking about wheelchairs and park runs and the issues that Alan faces with wheelchair racing at park runs and races generally. How is it nice to have that support and be so open with another wheelchair user?
Yeah, it helps a lot to know that I'm not on my own, basically, to know I'm not the only person going through this. And I know I'm not the only person going through this, but my brain is telling me you're completely on your own in this. Which is, well,
Don't
it's
worry, we're a podcast. You can just say what you feel. It stays within this world walls.
it's 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 knowing that other people understand how angry you can get about being in a wheelchair in a world of upright people. Um, one of the discussions we had was the fact that I went to have a look at a gym that had these absolutely wonderful disabled facilities, but they were all through heavy fire doors. And my question to them when I at the end of the tour that they gave me was, how am I supposed to get to any of these facilities? Well, a member of staff can help you.
Mm,
But when I was speaking out about that with friends, a comment that was made was that if you need to ask for help, it's not accessible. And that has so stuck with me that it's true. If I've got to wait for a member of staff to come and open 3 doors through to a changing room for me, firstly, that takes away all my independence. And secondly, how do I get back? There's
mm.
not going to be someone waiting at the changing rooms for me. So I've got to try and find someone who can then help me back through 3 heavy fire doors. And it's so true. If I have to ask for help, it's not accessible. There it's and it is one of these things that makes me really angry. But I never realised those things until I was in that position. So I've got to see it from both sides of the coin. It's not just about, it's not ignorance in a bad way. It's just not understanding. If you're not in a chair all the time, you're not going to realize. So having these conversations with Alan was really good, and it was really freeing to know, whilst my brain knows I'm not the only one, actually having that conversation and hearing someone else saying the same things is just, it was, yeah.
It was
It
refreshing.
was.
Are you prepared? And you've heard Alan, and Alan's very vocal when he does races and park runs. He gets very upset when people push him without
Yeah.
asking. Race organisers or directors look at a wheelchair and make them feel unwanted just by a look.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
are
some
you
that,
prepared for that? They don't mean to, but they give that initial look, which a wheelchair user will pick up on.
I can kind of see why though. Because from a race director's point of view or a volunteer's point of view, that person in the wheelchair is an extra hazard. So it's not just that you've got to look after the person in the wheelchair, you've also got to look after all those runners that have got to get around and past and not fall over. Because when you're running, you're not necessarily looking down. You might not notice someone in a wheelchair. So it's kind of, you got to see it from all points of view. But a wheelchair user is definitely more of, um, for want of a better word, a handicap to a race.
Yeah,
It's it's kind of being able to see it from both sides. I guess I always play kind of a devil's advocate to myself, um, understanding that I am going to need extra measures, but also they are going to have to make extra arrangements for a wheelchair user in a race.
yeah. I'd like to take this opportunity on the podcast for those that are running coaches or run leaders or race directors or race organisers. One thing I would say you would benefit of understanding a wheelchair racer or user, should I say, is if you can and have the opportunity, borrow a chair and do that distance that the person with a wheelchair is going to do, because it really opens your eyes. I did it during the pandemic when it was safe to do so. I borrowed one of Carol's chairs and I went round with Carol, and Carol does it in her, Phoenix or whatever she calls her wheelchair lately. Um, Carol does it in about what, 28, 29 minutes. Just to give you an idea, I had a Bob Standard, going round two wheel, well, you go always going around in two wheels, but you had the third wheel as well, which had a mind of its own in front of my
Yeah,
legs. And I am so grateful that I had that opportunity with Carol to do it. I did the Northampton race course. Which is fairly flat, does have two
yeah,
small hills. And I did it in 1 hour, 7 minutes. And I was absolutely shocked. One, the camber. You've assumed that a wheelchair racer or user is even just general use, are straight, wheeling. I found when I was going around Northampton, I was using my right arm more just
yeah,
to try and stay up straight. So the extra work that went into that, which helped me identify the upper body strength that is needed. But number two was big issue as well, realization how much you're looking down and don't have time. You don't see those around you because you're focusing too much on keeping the chair up and straight and yourself balanced. To see those enabled runners around you and in front of you,
yeah. You're kind of looking at the
your
floor.
senses are extra alert than the enabled runner.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yes.
Because not only are you having to use a lot of upper body strength to be able to get yourself around, you're also using your hips to keep balanced. and you are mostly looking at the floor because you're also having to keep an eye out for sticks and large rocks and things, anything that can throw you off your
Tree
balance.
roots,
So
yeah.
you are constantly having to, all your senses are completely engaged, and it is exhausting, not just because of the physical exertion, but for the mental exertion,
Yeah.
because you have got to have all of your senses on high alert the whole way around. It just is knackering.
No, but I would love that if one thing from this podcast, if we could encourage, you know,
Yeah,
anyone that has any runner that has the opportunity, it doesn't have to be a coach, but anyone that has the opportunity to borrow a wheelchair and go around with a wheelchair user and do even a couple of 100 meters just to get that experience, it will open your eyes and
it's scary.
it will amaze you
Yeah,
what you have to
it is very, very
do
scary.
to get to do the same distance. It's not, you think wheels, oh, that's easy, but it's not. So, you're part of my running club, Step Forward Lewis, and we are very diverse and we focus a lot on, like most running clubs, hill training session, fartlet sessions, as well as chatty runs, or in our case, chatty wheels. How, sorry, that's my cat now, Milo. Talk about everything happening on this podcast for the first one that I returned to. Well, go on, Lottie, you have another teaser
Do you want me to let him
and
in?
let the cat in. Here we go, Milo. So anyway, we'll round this up now. Like we say, we're on this new journey now with you. And I was just touching on the club, running club, and I'm sure there's other running clubs that like themselves, encourage wheelchair racing. I still think there's a lot to learn about the wheelchair racing world and consideration when planning routes.
Mm,
Um, are you going to, and I really hope that you're saying yes, not because you're on the podcast, but you will generally still take part with us and, you know, 'cause, even though you're going to be a wheelchair racer, you still need the hill training, you still need the Bartlett session. But more importantly, you do need us enabled runners for you mentally, for
yeah.
your support and,
Oh yeah, definitely.
I want, not just Step Forward Lewis, but Northampton Park Run. Well, we are, part of your journey with you. We will support you when you do have those dark days, which I do know from my other wheelchair races that, are in our community. It does happen,
Yeah,
um, to reach out, don't be scared or
yeah,
scared, but don't feel that you're on your own because runners, as you know, being a runner yourself, do have dark moments as well. And hence why we are runners in the first place,
oh yeah. It's a
you
freedom.
know?
It's a type. It is a type of freedom. I mean, the only thing that's stopping me at the moment, wheelchair racing, is purely cost. I think people don't realize how expensive being disabled is. I'm
Yeah, can we
looking at,
just finally touch on that? So
yeah,
you're currently investigating all this,
yeah.
you know,
I'm looking at £1,500
just for a basic,
just for a chair.
but you could wheel around the race
Yeah.
course alone.
For a racing wheelchair, it's, yes, you can buy secondhand. Yes, there are cheaper ones out there, but with the type of problems I have in my lower spine,
I'm
I
glad you
can't
touched on
invest in
that.
cheap. I
Yeah.
need to have one that is suited to me. And yeah, it is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Um,
There's Carol, who's one of our wheelchair racers, it's about £6,000 for a chair, but it had, because she had little legs,
yeah,
the chair had to be built round
yeah,
her legs, like you say, her back, and she couldn't have a chair, which really surprised me, where she had her knees tucked in. Her
yeah,
feet have to be outside, so she had to have a plate to support her feet.
yeah.
Um,
It is. It's extremely expensive. The estimate is that being disabled costs someone £10,000 a year on top of your standard costs of living. It is horrible. I mean, we are looking at having to have the entire back half of our house remodeled because And it is, I can't use my kitchen properly. I can't use the bathroom properly, because they're just not suited there. They were built with an able-bodied person in mind, obviously. Um, but moving to a bungalow is out of the question because, again, the market for bungalows, everyone's outpriced off them because everyone wants them and there aren't enough. Um, so it is extremely expensive.
Mm.
And for me to be able to pursue my hobby, which is collecting shiny medals, which I really, really like, um, I currently cannot do because it's just not in budget.
It's not a pair of trainers.
It's not a pair of
Pair of
trainers,
wheels.
several
Yeah.
pairs of trainers, but
I want to end the podcast on a happy note. I loved yesterday we was talking about your 18-year-old Harry.
yes.
And if you could share with our listeners what they are going to do for you, because I think it's quite special.
Well, fingers crossed. They are still in very early days of training, but I have a place in the Stratford Half Marathon in April next year. And Harry is has taken up running. I've just bought them their first pair of proper running shoes, um, which they're really excited about going out and trying out for the first time. And because obviously I can't take part in the Stratford Half because it's not wheelchair friendly in any way, shape, or
You're
form.
transferring your place.
And hopefully Harry should be running for me.
Oh, and I
Um,
look forward to cheering Harry on.
yep,
I'm really excited about this. So, and that's what, okay, you've been hit with this news, you're going to be wheelchair, but I love the fact that it's motivated Harry now to take
Harry
on
is
the
an
baton.
awesome young person. Like they
Yeah,
are just amazing, and they never cease to
surprise
amaze
you.
me and
Yeah.
surprise me on an almost daily basis. Um, so yeah, really proud of them. And if they're able to do this, if they think they can do it, they're going to have 100% backing from me. We'll just have to go out wheeling and running together.
No, so it's not all bad news,
It's not.
it's not all bad news. And I hope listeners, sorry for the beginning, getting all our words mixed up. But as I said, we're menopausal. So not
Yeah,
sorry.
both remotely.
Nature. But thank you for listening, Lottie. Thank you for sharing your story, especially as it is still early days and it's a lot mentally to take on. Really appreciate sharing with us and the
Thank you
listeners.
for having me.
And yeah, thank you. And
More
thank you for
Maltesers.
listening. Have a Malteser, Lottie. Bye.